wines.
Oh yeah, I like this. I mean, just we know we're onto this distillers now. Look at the branding across the board here. It's just it's impressive. There's Malcolm. Hello. Welcome everyone. So Christian, Johan, tell us where you're dialing in from tonight.
I'm dialing in from the farm, from Papa Grappa, our main location for distilling, our headquarters, if you want to call that. We're practicing proper social distancing. So Johan is in Wellington. That's about 25-30 kilometers away from his house.
Okay.
And where are you?
And I'm in Dublin here. I'm in excellent company, along with you guys. Got the booze in as well. David, where are you?
Hey, Eamon. I'm at our visitor centre here at the distillery. And we're definitely social distancing because it's just myself and Fiona who's on camera duties here.
Very good. Awesome. Okay. So welcome everyone signing in tonight. We're live on Facebook as well. I'm Eamon, the wine guy, sometimes gin guy, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to our gin tasting tonight, meeting the gin makers behind the gin in your Christmas cases. Yeah, really great to have everyone, and looking forward to tasting the gins together. Got my ice and garnishes and tonics and everything here, so I hope you got the same. Let us know what you're drinking in the comments, and yeah, I think gin is we started doing gin 5 or 6 years ago at Naked. I think it's just the perfect product that lends itself to the Naked model. You know, we all know, you know, the kind of big brand gins, you know, a big chunk of the, you know, what you pay for is branding and marketing. Whereas with the Naked model, you can go directly to a talented distiller or gin maker and connect directly with them and get excellent quality gin at a much better price. And it's a huge honor to work with Johan, Christian, and David, and a few of the other gin guys. So yeah, looking forward to meeting you guys and reconnecting and finding out more tonight. We'll kick off a little poll from the audience. So let us know, Dominique, if you can pick up the poll. What you're drinking tonight, if you've got the Shortcross, maybe let us know if you're drinking that, or if you're on the Wilderer, or if you're drinking wine, that's allowed too, or something else. Just let us know, so we have an idea of what's going on. Yeah, while we're waiting for that, Christian, why don't we start with you and you know, tell us what's happening in South Africa. I gather you're not at the distillery tonight.
Well, it's 10 p.m. local time, and since yesterday we have a new curfew with our second wave, unfortunately. So by 10 o'clock you have to be back home. So we have a distillery and a restaurant here, but we're forced to close at 9 o'clock so that people can be home by 10. And yeah, hence I'm not sitting out there entertaining guests or distilling, and pretty sober, to be honest.
Well, having been there, lucky myself to have been there myself a few years ago, I can testify that you're in your element in that place, kind of welcoming people in and enjoying life. So now hopefully we get back to that normality soon. And just quick one there. So 33% of people are on the Shortcross, 6% on the Wilderer, 23% drinking wine, and 37% not drinking any of these things. So that's cool. We're all welcome here. David, tell us, how did you get into gin in the first place?
Well, like I suppose it's like all married men's bad jokes. It's my wife's fault. Fiona had always wanted to build a distillery here at Woodhaven Estate, having read about the lost distilleries in Ireland. And we got married in 2011. We worked in very different industries, but we love food and drink. And in an ideal world, we'll have a vineyard, but hey, it's County Down, it's not Bordeaux. And Fiona said, well, what about a gin distillery? We love gin. And we set about a 2-year journey visiting gin distilleries, right across the world, and we just fell in love with the whole craft spirits movement. Sort of became emboldened to sort of try and create Northern Ireland's first gin, and really to try and redefine what an Irish gin could be. So that's a very quick overview of why we did it. I'd say the big thing for us is that we're just gin fanatics. We just love gin.
That's loud and clear. And Kristen and Johan, how about you guys?
Very good.
With us, we South Africa's first and well, I don't want to brag too much straight away, but we're South Africa's first and most awarded craft distillery. We started in 1994, and before that it was a monopoly in South Africa. So we got the first private distilling license, and my father Helmut, the founder, he was producing grappa at first and eau de vie, German style fruit spirits like Williams Pear and Himbeergeist, Obstler, those type of things, and then of course different grappas. And then in 2013, I was on an overseas trip and saw the whole gin trend happening, and went to Dad and said, I think it would be a good idea for us to make a gin, because I think it's going to be the next big thing after craft beer, which was big at the time already in South Africa. And him not being a gin fan or drinker and a bit of an artist as well, said, take a hike. Will never make gin in my life. I'm not interested whatsoever. Don't follow any international trends. I do what I do, and that's it. And me as the salesperson, I said to him, it would be nice if you make something that people want to drink, instead of me having to hand sell bottle for bottle of grappa. And anyway, that didn't fly with him until the first few South African distilleries popped out producing gin, and they got a lot of media attention, and were celebrated as the pioneers in the craft distilling industry. And obviously then I kind of had enough, and I said to him, this is not fair. We've been doing this over 20 years and you might have not gotten the recognition you deserve because we're not doing something that's fashionable. So you best get on and do some gin, and let's make the best one in South Africa and win an international medal, and then you can go back to doing your own stuff, but at least you'll get the attention that you deserve. And I kind of sold him the concept, and then I thought it'll take a few months, for a few weeks actually, to have a product on the market, but it took 18 months, and only in December 2015 we ended up launching our gin, but then went on to win 3 gold medals, I think, in the first 4 months of launching on an international scale. And that obviously then created the hype around Wilderer that I was hoping, and all the hipsters wanted to meet the old German and take selfies and have him sign the bottle and so on. So that's how it all got started. Sadly, he was diagnosed with cancer the same year, or at pretty much the same time of launch, and passed away today 4 years ago. So he still had a full year of the success. We launched in 2015 December, and he passed away in 2016 December. And he saw the first year of what gin did to our business, and we went from 10,000 bottles of annual production of all our lines combined to 32,000 bottles of gin in the first year. So that was the beginning of the story. And then in February or March, I met you, and then I'll tell you the rest later.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And David, I feel like I'm amongst gin royalty here tonight, because I believe you're also the country's most awarded distillers. When I say the country, Ireland's most awarded distiller. What's your secret, do you think, to that sort of success?
I think timing has been a big part of it. We were when we opened when we launched in May of 2014, we were the first sort of craft distillery that was focused on gin. So I suppose really we focused on gin because we love it and we're passionate about it. And I think that for us, we feel that shines really through with everything that we do, from the sourcing of the botanicals on the estate, the use of our own water, to how we hand bottle, hand waxed it, and distill everything here on site. So I think passion goes a long way to really setting our brand apart and really defining our sort of ethos about how we actually produce our gins and other spirits here.
And would you maybe before we get into too much more chatter, David, do you want to show us how to make all the people drinking Shortcross tonight, how to make the perfect Shortcross gin and tonic?
Yep, no problem. So guys, what I'm going to serve our gin in is with our classic Copa glasses, which we use here at the distillery in the visitor centre for all our tours. So I'm starting out, I'm going to fill this in with some ice. And then just give the glass a swirl with the ice just to sort of try and cool down the glass itself. Next up, being in Ireland, rather than 25 mils, I'm going to go for 35 mils of the Angel's Edition. Pour that in. With this gin, because it is a very classical style of gin, very much in the sort of the London dry ethos, I'm actually going to use some fever tree Indian tonic water. And normally I recommend 1 part gin to 2 parts tonics, maybe 3 part tonic, depending on your preference. With this gin, because we use lemon myrtle in it, we want to really bring that to life. So for us, the best garnish that you can find is actually an Amalfi lemon. So I've got one here, and I've actually got some garnishes that we had from earlier. So I'm just going to spritz the lemon, go around the edge of the glass, and just drop that in, guys. So for us, that's the perfect serve with the Angel's gin. So as we say in Ireland, sláinte.
Cheers, mate. Here's one I made earlier. Cheers, guys. Very nice. So yeah, Christian, I think was it 2016, 2017. I was in South Africa on a trip with Rowan and the Naked crew, and we were looking for a new gin maker. And you know, my tactic all along, actually until we met David this year, was to pick a country and then ask people whose tastes I respect what gin they like. So I asked our winemakers, what is the most exciting, delicious gin in South Africa, and they pointed me in your direction. So we met one morning in I think the hotel breakfast. And do you want to take the story from there?
Yeah, so it's our good mutual friend Mike Radcliffe from Warwick Wines, Villa Fonte today, that called me, I think 10 o'clock the night before, 10 p.m. and said, what are you doing tomorrow at 10 a.m.? And I said, I'll be working in the office or whatever. I said, no, you're not. You're going to the Lanzarote Hotel and you're meeting Eamon Fitzgerald from Naked Wines, and he's interested in your gin. And then he hung up the phone. And I must be honest, I never heard of Naked Wines before. But Mike is a respected guy, and even at 10 p.m., you take him seriously. So I was there next morning. We had a chat. And you told me that you're looking for a special recipe gin, and obviously then I did a little bit of research what Naked Wines is, and then we started working on samples for you. You wanted us to send it to you, I think 5 or 6 different versions. Then I got a quotation on what it's going to cost to send it to you, and I thought, you know what, it's better if I fly to you and bring it to you myself. I've got a few mates in your areas. I'll rather visit them and come and see you personally and bring it to you and presented them. And we selected one together. You were spot on with a briefing that you gave us before. With the sample, we did a blind tasting with the sample that you eventually picked. And then obviously there was a bit of back and forth about, I wouldn't call it red tape, but I mean, we had to do a few legal things and all that kind of stuff, and come to agreements regarding pricing and quantities and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually, I think we ended up with 6 weeks to knock out 35,000 liters. And what I said to you earlier, 32,000 bottles, half liter. So our 2016 annual production was 16,000 liters, 1.6. And the order to Naked Wines was 35,000 liters in one order, and we had 6 weeks to produce it. So Johan, myself, and Andre, we aged a little bit, but I think also rejuvenated afterwards with the success. But for 6 weeks, we worked 24 hours a day in 3 shifts, 3 8-hour shifts. And we managed to load the last bottle on the last possible date in October and ship it off to you. and it arrived. The ship didn't sink or anything. And on top of it, we won an international gold medal for that recipe. So, and to finish it up, I think if I remember correctly, you sold 5,000 bottles in the first hour, 15,000 on the first day, and 43,000 in something like 2 weeks. So yeah, that for us was obviously insane. And
yeah,
I came to visit you as well in November for the winter Christmas tour and met a lot of angels, and definitely a trip to always remember.
Yeah, here for sure. And what's unique and special about this gin?
I think we'll pass
So
it
if
on
I
to
can-
Johan now. Give you a
So,
very-
sorry, can you guys hear me? There's a little bit of a delay on my side.
Yeah, you're good.
Cool. So I think our gin has a quite distinct flavor. What sets it apart is we use a very, very good, I'm going to use the analogy of canvas to paint this gin on. I always like to use this analogy that we use grape spirits as a base alcohol for this gin, where a lot of people could use a less quality base alcohol to start their product on. We are of opinion that you can't build a quality, you can't paint a masterpiece on an inferior canvas. So we really do start with the best possible base alcohol, which is from grapes, in our humble opinion. From there, we do a double extraction of our botanicals, which is first through a maceration for a extended period of time. And these maceration bags, it's pretty much like making tea. These bags are then added and hung inside our distillery for a vapor path extraction. So that is the second part of the extraction. That kind of creates a much more powerful flavor. But one key parameter where a lot of the flavor comes in is in the water. So if you're looking at the balance of water with the alcohol, water is a very, very big ingredient in gin. And in this gin, we use natural spring water, where most people will opt to use distilled water or RO water, reverse osmosis water. Christian's dad believed to use natural spring water because he said those distilled waters are dead water. It's just one more step to bring our products closer to nature. And in the same time, we capture this element, the raw natural minerals and flavors that you do find in the spring water. So it is a one-of-a-kind product made completely naturally.
It's absolutely delicious. You sent me on a wild goose chase today to buy curry leaves and pineapple for my garnish. First off, we'll ask the guys on board, Dominique, if you want to ask the folks what way they take their gin and tonic, just to get some feedback from the British public. What made you think of that kind of wild garnish? Either of you? Christian or Johan, was that whose idea was that?
The curry leaves and pineapple.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm not quite sure actually how we came to that. It's a lovely combination. Fresh curry leaves is, I don't know, depends where you are in the world, but even here in South Africa, you're not always able to find that. But you can definitely use dried curry leaves just as well. It just gives it a very savory kind of flavor to it. The other classic perfect serve that we recommend is just with fresh mint and lemon. And what I'm having tonight is very simple. And my personal favorite, which is with soda water and just a dash of fresh lime juice. So not having the tonic water, you're skipping all the sugar, and especially when it's warm in summer, you can drink this for days. And especially as a distiller, you have to find a way how you can just continuously enjoy it. Like you know, the old thing of you can't trust a skinny chef, you know. So the distiller has to be drinking all day long. So I couldn't drink, I don't know, 10 or 20 gin and tonics a day. So I enjoyed with soda water.
Very good. Wow, 90% of people watching just go for the G&T. 5% neat and 5% like to get creative with a cocktail. and we'll get onto that towards the end of the call. If anyone's got any questions for the guys, use the Q&A function, and we'll get to a few of them. And yeah, no, Christian, I think, you know, that day we met you, or that morning, we certainly went away and did our own research in the Lanzarote hotel bar with the Naked crew that night. And you know, I drunk this for the first time in a couple of years on Friday night when I messaged you, and just the flavors are so unique and distinctive, and just kind of bring you right back to this could only be kind of from one place. And what are the sort of botanicals and flavors that you kind of get from it that makes it taste so unique?
I'm gonna throw it over to Johan again.
Sorry, Eamon, could you repeat that question, please?
Yeah, just
unique.
What flavor makes it unique?
Yeah, the botanicals you use.
Right. So so again, I think we capture a very, very nice balance of herbaceous structure in this gin. There's a lot of medicinal notes that we do introduce by using classic botanicals, but these are grown in South Africa. So we still stick with Juniper communis, which is a local common juniper that's grown in South African soil. And terroir and climate, they do, like grapes, impact a lot of flavor specific to a different region. So with a very unique climate like South Africa, this is represented in the liquid, in the final product as well. And again, a very nice key ingredient is that botanical, almost like a botanical infused and mineral rich water that is a natural spring water. It comes with a little bit of a challenge using natural water, but it does give you a very, very unique flavor and final product.
Yeah, very good. It's delicious. David, what would you say outside of the G&T, if you were making a cocktail with the Shortcross, what would you go for?
Well, at this time of year, we would, if it hadn't been for COVID, we would be hosting people here, just like the guys in South Africa to the distillery, and sort of having a lot of fun with cocktails. So I was trying to rack my brain as to what would be a good festive serve, but wouldn't be too difficult. And Christmas Day is only just over a week away. So what I would go with is actually a French 75. Most of which you can actually pre-batch, so it can be made the night before or earlier in the day, and then just shaken and poured straight away.
And what's that? What's in that, David?
Okay, so with the French 75, we've got, for one serve, we've got 35 ml of the Naked Gin. We have 15 ml of sugar syrup, and we have 15 ml of lemon juice. And what we do is we hard shake that. In this case, I have already made up a little bit of a pre-batch here. What we do is hard shake that over ice, straight into the glass then, preferably through a fine filter. And then what we're doing then is topping it up with a choice of either Prosecco or Champagne. My preference is actually Prosecco. It's just a personal thing. And then we're just very simply garnishing that with some fresh lemon peel again, just to really bring out that sort of zesty element of the gin and the sparkling wine as well. So again, Sancha.
Cheers. Yeah, sounds good. Very posh. My God.
I've been called many things, but not posh.
And yeah, Christian, Johan, how's your year been for the year that's been in it? Obviously, Christian, you mentioned the Papa Grappa, the pizza restaurants, and your distillery there. How's it all been on your business?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's been a challenging year for everybody, really. But Johan and I spoke about it earlier, and for us personally, and I think for the business, we've drawn a lot of positives out of the year, and I've made a lot of changes really to the way we think as well. Maybe we're a little bit more appreciative of a lot of things that we took for granted in the past. As a business, we're okay. We're not having a record year, of course, but with well over 75 people permanently employed, we haven't had to retrench anybody. And in fact, we've hired more people, more caliber people. We've just, the sales and marketing manager of our biggest tonic water in Africa called Fitch and Leeds has joined us on the 1st of December. First time we're filling such a position. which is already making a massive difference. We're coming out with a couple of new products, one of them being a rum, which we've been working on for the last 2 years. Not because we think rum is the next big thing, because everyone's been saying that for the last, I don't know, 5 years. But we just really like rum, and I think we're quite spot on there, so that should launch in the next 4 weeks.
I think you'll have a few takers on this call tonight for that rum.
Yeah, something special again, something with a South African, especially with a Western Cape twist. Then we're coming out with a 25-year anniversary. Well, we're cutting it fine, but it should be out next week. We're waiting for the last little marketing component, let's call it, a little catalog that goes with it. They're only 12 bottles, and they retail for about £1,200 each. So that's a South African first to launch a bottle of grappa at that price, but it is special. They're mouth-blown, unique collector's items. You'll see it on our website, or if you follow us on social media at Wilderer.
Yeah, you have my address as well, Christian Dory.
Yeah, so there you go. So lots of things happening, and 2020 wasn't that bad after all, to be honest. But I'm looking forward to 2021.
Okay, yeah. And then David, we met in January of this year for the first time. We obviously no idea what was to come. But obviously a big naked order. Notwithstanding, how's the year been for you, and how has the Angel order kind of made a difference to your business this year?
The Angels order has been massive for us, because we, being in the craft segment in sort of the UK and Ireland, we would do 90% of our business through the on-trade and through travel retail. So we basically saw that disappear overnight. So what the Angels Gin has allowed us to do is really to keep our team together, and actually has allowed us to innovate in terms of actually how we approach scaling up the business, and basically trying to do 2 years worth of work in 6 months. So we had a lot of sleepless nights. I like the phrase the guys used about aging a little during the process. I certainly felt that at one stage. But it's been a fantastic experience, because for us as a small craft distillery, the Naked Wines order, the Angels Gin for us, is putting us in front of so many people that would maybe not have heard of us or maybe seen our products before. And as well, it's all about building relationships and friendships. So, it's been great to meet yourself, Laura, Ray, and the rest of the team, and sort of build those relationships. And that's what it's. Business is, business is business. Sometimes it's not just about ones and zeros. It's about the people. It's about the passion. And even listening to the guys now, I haven't been to Africa, so that sounds like the sort of place I want to go to, South Africa. So so to us, it's just been a fantastic opportunity, and we've really enjoyed the whole process from start to finish.
Awesome, great. Now, Johan, David's done his Christmas Day cocktail. What will you be going for?
Right, so I have something a bit off the charts. I know the poll has been indicating that people like a classic gin and tonic, and that's not what I'm going to be making. I'll be making a lemon meringue gin and tonic. So let me just scooch the camera down a little bit. I usually start with a tumbler glass, nice lot of ice. We use a local tonic water brand, Barker & Quinn. I selected this one because it's rather similar to Fever Tree, which is something you might be able to find easier. So while that chills in the glass, let's keep that there. While that chills in the glass, I'll be using a Bosch shaker and cracking an egg. So think about pisco sours, right? Egg white can be used, it's not to be frowned upon. Unfortunately, it's not vegan, but no, I missed it a little bit.
Yeah, that went wrong.
Yeah, I only need a little bit of egg white, so I'll clean that up later. I have a big Great Dane dog who will love to clean that up. Anyway, a little egg white goes a long way. You don't need to use everything, so even though if you spill it, it's not too bad. Then use a little bit of lime cordial from Moni's. I would use a single shot, so 25 ml. I don't have a shot pour, so I'm just gonna wing it. Should do it. And then a double shot of the gin. That's about 15 ml. A little bit extra. Then here's a single cube of ice. And you shake that.
This is poetry.
Alrighty then.
Oh, look at that. Jesus.
Almost done. So I usually use a bar torch, but I couldn't find one, so I got like a lighter that makes a torch. But you just have to char that to get that lemon meringue.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if this works.
I'll take your word for it.
Almost there. Well, anyway, sadly this is not working as best as I tried. But anyway, you get a little bit of a char, a little bit of a browning going on. That sugar sweetness of the cordial works very, very nicely to bring out that sweetness that you find in lemon meringue pie. And then just garnish it with a little lemon zest twirl. And there you go. You have it.
Look at that.
It's like a lemon meringue gin tonic.
I'll be trying that on Christmas Day for sure. Wow. What a way to impress guests. Yeah.
Super simple, and it tastes just like lemon.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Johan. Okay, let's go to some questions from customers. We've got lots here, so let's fly through them. First one from Helen. It's for you, Kristen. Where is the restaurant in South Africa, please? She loves visiting South Africa.
We have two. They're both in Paarl. One is at our own estate called Wilderer Distillery. The restaurant's called Papa Grappa. It's between Paarl and Franschhoek. And then the other one is in southern Paarl, 5 kilometers away from here, more into the direction of Cape Town, Malmesbury again, which is at Spice Route, quite a well-known destination as well, home to CBC, Cape Brewing Company as well, and also both with a distillery and a restaurant.
Very good. Epic pizza as well. Can highly recommend. And Helen asked, what are your thoughts? Maybe one for you, David. What's your thought on flavored tonics after you put so much effort into the botanicals for your gin?
I personally, we love flavored tonics, but what we have found is flavored tonics are like a garnish. They should all be about accentuating the flavors that are in the gin. So, you know, for us, for some of our products, elderflower tonic works really, really well because we use a lot of fresh elderflower and elderberries. You know, sometimes if it's a spicier tonic, a Mediterranean style tonic will work. But really, it's also personal preference. You know, people should drink gin how they love to drink it. You know, I'm not going to tell anyone there's a right or wrong way. And I think the thing is, gin is now back. It's a generational thing. And I'm just glad to see people enjoying gin for what it is because it's a fantastic spirit.
Nice one. Maybe you get one for you, Christian. Tracy asks, loves gin, but I don't really like tonic. What do you recommend putting with gin as an alternative? You mentioned soda water earlier. Was it?
Yeah, soda water. I saw somebody else also asked what are the proportions. Look, I always believe singles are sold out, or singles you buy at the music shop. Maybe so. I mean, it's got to be a double at least. So I would use 50 milliliters of gin, and then with 200 milliliters of soda water, and then just a dash of fresh lime juice and some ice. Perfect.
Nice. Anyone else? Anything other than tonic? Johan or David?
I've tried before gin and ginger ale. You get gin and juice. We like using pomegranate juice. Also, if you don't prefer the sweetness, a little bit of grapefruit juice, classic gin juice works very well with our Fynbos gin. That sweetness of the fruit tends to complement the herbaceous structure in our gin very nicely.
Nice.
Yeah. Our alternative serve is to use either an elderflower Collins, which is soda water with soda water and some elderflower cordial, or else something a little bit more unusual for those that have maybe a sweeter palate is to go with Sicilian lemonade, which we find a lot of people that aren't gin fans is really they don't like the tonic water, so the Sicilian lemonade is a great gateway serve for them to the gin category.
Okay. Paul and Rebecca both asking about ice versus gel cubes to stop dilution. What are your thoughts? Christian?
So you're using what?
Gel cubes or non-melting ice cubes, you know those things?
Right, okay. Personally, I've never even tried it. So the quality of the ice cube is important. Obviously, the bigger and the more solid, the better. So yes, for sure. I mean, I want that cheap ice that dissolves or dilutes immediately. So probably a good option, I must be honest. And you know what? I have them in my freezer. I never even tried them. I got them for a Christmas present, I think 3 years ago. So I'll dig them out and try it. But a good ice cube does the job, I think.
Yeah. Linda, interesting to hear you using natural spring water. I think David, you're doing the same from your estate, are you?
Yeah, we take our water from an aquifer about 70 meters below the distillery. So we find the minerality is a really good complement to all the flavors from the botanicals when we distill the gin. You know, it's I echo everything the guy said about the base spirit as a blank canvas and how important the use of water is. So you know, it's great to use something that's a totally natural resource, and so for us, water is really key for our gin as well.
Okay, great question here from Liz. Maybe one for you, Johan. Why so much ice? Surely it dilutes the flavor.
So I think it's quite important because you can't add the tonic water in afterwards. So it's a good idea to get that tonic water chilled. You could substitute that with, if you want to, gel ice. I just added a lot of ice. I'm sitting with a big tumbler glass. This is pretty solid glass. If you use something smaller, you can get away with less ice. It would actually be preferable.
Okay. The point as well being the more ice you have, the colder the drink stays. Therefore, the ice doesn't dilute and keeps all the nice flavors in your G&T. What else do we get? Yeah, anonymous David asked, what are the key differences between the Angels Shortcross and the Bartenders Shortcross, which is another delicious gin?
That's a good question. Well, the Bartenders is very much a grapefruit-led gin with a very fruity heart. When we created the Angels edition, we sort of took inspiration from how you and the guys at Naked Wine sort of source wines from all over the world. And the nice thing I find with gin is that you can use botanicals that are hyper local to the distillery or the place where you're operating, or you can use botanicals that also come from around the world. So with this gin, we took a little bit of inspiration about how you guys source the wines from across the world. So we use that to pick botanicals that we maybe wouldn't use normally. So with this gin, we use a lot of spices. So we use grains of paradise, we use green cardamom pods from Asia. And really, we wanted to use a citrus botanical that we hadn't used before. And the one that we came across, which we got so excited about, was actually lemon myrtle from Australia. And we just find that just lifts all of the citrus components to another level. And I think it's a botanical I'm going to look to explore even further beyond the Angels edition.
Okay. Alan asks, I keep my bottle in the freezer as then it doesn't need the ice. Is that a good idea, or is adding ice preferable? Christian?
Okay, so important to understand is like with a red wine, you want to drink a spirit like a gin. If you're going to drink it pure, you want to drink it at room temperature, 16 to 18 degrees. If it's too cold, if it comes out of the freezer, you're not going to be able to taste anything. You're also suppressing the alcohol feel, let's call it.
Mm.
So room temperature is a great balance of picking up aromas and being able to also judge the quality of the alcohol. Okay, so now if you're going to add it to a drink where you're putting ice in anyway and tonic, probably doesn't make a difference. I don't know, I've never really done the experiment like that, but to me it wouldn't make logical sense that it makes a big difference. But I wanted to say that earlier on. So the more close to a room temperature, the more you're going to be able to really taste the full aroma and get also a good sense of the quality of the alcohol. So the alcohol's not overpowering because it's not too warm, and you get a good aroma sense. So adding too much ice is probably not ideal if you want to be able to taste it, but obviously the colder it is, the more refreshing it probably is.
Okay. Susanna asks, and Dominic, why don't we ask the customers as well, people watching, what they think about garnishes. Susanna's asking about, loves flavor combos with gin. What added ingredients would you suggest to bring out the base ingredients of gin? I think we've covered garnishes in each of the gins. Is cucumber with Hendrick's just a marketing tool, or does it actually match a particular flavor profile of their gin? You know anything about that?
For me? Sorry?
Yeah, if you do know, yeah,
sorry.
go for it.
Yeah, yes, in the case of Hendrick's, it is something that pairs very well with their specific gin. So cucumber is a very great botanical to add to London Dry. With our gin, in our Wilderer gin, I don't prefer cucumber, and I think neither does Christian. It is a very powerful botanical that needs to be used quite subtly. It could overpower your drink quite quickly. Hence, it's quite appropriate to use that with a London Dry style or something that could benefit from that. And I do think the match between Hendrick's and cucumber is not only a marketing tool, but it does really combine with very well.
Okay, good. I don't like cucumber with anything. Let me know if you're with me on that. But yeah, let alone my gin. A lot of questions about juniper. Maybe David, kick off. Like, is it a key ingredient in gin? And like, how much do you need to use in it?
Well, I think, starting with Gin 101, the predominant taste of gin should be that of juniper. So by and large, it's always going to be the largest botanical that's there. But with juniper, you have to think of it a little bit like a grape, because the setting on how much sunlight it gets will determine its flavor profile. So if it's on one side of the mountain where it gets a lot of sunlight, it'll be the grapes will be the berries, will be much larger, be much more terpene and more ginny, more oily and lush. On the other side of the mountain, where they maybe don't get the same level of sunlight, the berries are a little bit smaller. But what I find is that when you've got a smaller berry, you get a more intense pepperiness from the juniper. So what we do here at Redemption Estate is we actually blend 2 or 3 varieties of juniper communis together to get the right profile. So juniper is key, but there's just so many aspects of juniper that it's not just about how much you use, but also about the types and where the juniper communis came from.
Johan, I'd say you're fairly well researched in the subject of juniper.
Well, I know a little bit about the subject. In our gin, our juniper tends to be more peppery, so we use rather smaller berries. The peppery notes are very nicely complemented by the dry structure in our gin. So the herbaceous structure that is introduced through the way we make the gin, especially through the water, that herbaceous structure doesn't need to be reinforced by juniper. So rather we opt to create a more peppery foundation that works well and provides more broader spectrum of flavor.
Okay, I seem to have upset a few people about with my juniper comments, but equally some people are agreeing with me. Let's just put this one to bed. Dominic, can you ask the people for once and for all what we think of cucumber? And while everyone's reflecting on that one, Tim Taylor asks, Christian, alcohol sales ban, is that still on, or what's the latest on that in South Africa?
Well, as I understand, since yesterday, you are only allowed to sell alcohol from Monday to Thursday. But wine farms and distilleries, in our case, are allowed to still offer tastings between Friday and Sunday. So, yeah, that's what it is. But we've been through it before. I mean, I don't know how many of you know that we've had the harshest lockdown of in history or of any countries. So for I don't know how many months, 4 months or longer, there were no tobacco sales, no cigarettes, nothing tobacco, and no alcohol whatsoever. So you can imagine how many people dabbled in bootlegging and selling cigarettes, illegal cigarettes and stuff like that. So we've been through all that. So I don't really worry too much about it anymore. We'll take it day by day. But at least we are allowed. I don't think they will ever lock it down again completely. So at least, alcohol consumption in restaurants is allowed. If they're going to scrap 4 days of the week or 3, then so be it. It's fine. It's better than nothing at all.
Well, what do you say? 54% of people say no to cucumber. That's reassuring to know. Thanks, everyone. Wow. Okay, what else have we got? When will the Wilderer gin be back in stock? I think it's sold out, guys. I think we're working on that. Chris and Johan.
Yes, we are.
Well, we're ready. So that's when we can send you. We're ready now. You can give us 100,000 bottles in 6 weeks. We're ready for that now.
Yeah, we'll take that. Where we go? David asks. His first taste of Shortcross. He's really enjoying it. Would you describe this as a London style gin?
Yeah, for me, this is very much a more classic style of gin than some of the contemporary types of gin we've produced in the past. So we wanted to do something to create a gin that really moved us out of our comfort zone, and also to really explore sort of that spice element and sort of those more unusual botanicals that we wouldn't use normally. So for me, they actually combine in that sort of classic sort of London dry spiced element of spice, but also citrus element of a gin.
Okay. Lots of people asking for the recipes. We'll get them up on the site tomorrow for those 2 cocktails. Yeah, they sound great. When will Wilderer be back in stock? We're working on it. Gin and coconut water. Anyone? From Steve?
I've never done that. That's I'll get on that tomorrow. That sounds actually super interesting.
Okay, great.
I don't think that'll work very well though. That sounds quite odd, but definitely worth exploring.
Chris rubs gin on his face. It makes his beard grow. Johan, does that work for you? Do you need that?
I do actually, and we do use coconut oil in a beard oil that we manufacture.
Do you?
Yeah. We manufacture our own Wilderer beard oil.
Yeah, I'm trying to be like you, Johan, and this is as far as I've got. I feel
pathetic. Your sample, and that'll help.
Tim, do you have any favorite vermouths to pair with your gins? Great question. Anyone into their vermouths?
Yeah, for me, the best vermouth out there is probably the Balthasar. So we love white Negronis here. So the Balthasar white vermouth is a fantastic product. And with that white vermouth, then it's also made with the sort of a classic dry style gin, white vermouth, and as well as liqueur. So it's a great alternative to sort of the traditional Negroni.
Okay, very good. Pauline, do I like the pineapple and curry leaves in the Wilderer? I really like it. I also like it even without a garnish, because I find the gin itself with the botanicals is so distinctive. So I like it just kind of fairly plain as well. But the pineapple and curry leaves are give great theatre as well for people visiting. So whatever you're into. What do we got here? Almost at the bottom. David, a few people asking about the base spirit for Shortcross.
Okay, we use a wheat-based neutral spirit. We find, in our experience, grape spirit and molasses spirit are a little bit harder to find. What we find is that with the wheat-based spirit, it's the perfect blank canvas. It's neutral, but that sort of grain element does we feel carry the flavors of the botanicals forward a lot better than other base spirit types. So that's why we use a wheat based spirit.
Okay, very good. Chris, Eamon never answers my question. Ask my questions. I did, and you've learned how to grow a beard like Johan. So hopefully you'll be happy there. That's a good question here. David, what gin do you like to drink apart from the one you make?
One of my favorites, but I love all gins, if I'm honest. I've yet to find a gin I dislike. So as long as it's a well-made gin and tonic or Negroni, I'm pretty happy with anything.
Okay. Wilma asks, where is the Fine Boss gin? I had it once from Naked and loved it. Well, Wilma, we're drinking it tonight. It's the Wilderer. What are Fine Boss, guys? Christian, could you explain what Fine Boss is?
Fine Boss refers to the floral kingdom of the Western Cape. So it's the expression for, I think it's over, Johan, help me here quickly, 9,000 plant species, I think.
About 9,200 botanicals or plant species in the Fine Boss floral kingdom. It's actually a genus or kingdom of a very specifically genetically linked plant and biodiversity type that's growing in the Western Cape. Many of these plants have been used for thousands of years as medicinal plants. We draw our inspiration from these botanicals as well. So pretty much in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's our protea, our national flower of South Africa, which is quite an iconic flower. It's part of the Proteaceae. We get the Erica species that are lots of florals or flowers. The Renosterveld, also a lot of medicinals growing in that. And it's broken up in various different areas. It's rather difficult to describe, but if you see the South African protea, that's one of our most iconic Fine Boss flowers that we get.
Google it. It's quite interesting if you're interested in that sort of thing. It's over 9,000 plant species, of which more than 70% are endemic to the Western Cape, so they only grow here. So it's quite interesting. You can read up a little bit on that. Fascinating.
Will do. Yeah. Good question here. We've heard a lot about drought in South Africa and like the impact on grapes. Does that impact you guys with the kind of botanicals and fruit and everything that grows?
Not really in terms of botanicals. Sorry, Johan. Jumped the gun.
Yeah,
anyway, of the past. It's we do not have any water problems anymore. Luckily, we still have power cuts and other problems, but water is not an issue. Thank God anymore. Our dams are full. So, Johan, I don't know. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, sorry. It's, regarding the gin, it doesn't really make a big difference, but we also grappa distillery, and for making grappa, which is made from grape skins, the Drought did create a concentration of flavors in those grape skins. So it did impact us and our spirits, but luckily not our gins.
Okay. A few cardamom lovers. Would any of your gins work well with? They're starting with the botanical here. We're getting very technical. But if you love cardamom so much, would that work kind of steeping it or using as a garnish for your gin?
Sorry, David.
You go, David.
Okay. For me, I have a bit of a love-hate with sort of berries and seeds as a garnish. As much as I love juniper and cardamom, I don't really like them as a garnish. I just find I end up almost swallowing them every time I sip my gin and tonic. So it's a pass for me, I'm afraid, on that one.
Johan?
We actually do use cardamom in the gin. It's one of the key botanicals, and as such, it's not really the best idea to use it as a garnish. It's kind of like over seasoning food in a restaurant. If it's already part of the ingredients, it's there for a reason, and the balance is already thought out and planned in to be perfect. So I see it as over seasoning if you use something like cardamom.
Okay, very good. Tanya says, feeling homesick for County Down from a homesick Lisburn girl in Glasgow. Sorry, Tanya. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for tonight. Got through most of the questions, I hope, and settled the great cucumber debate. Great result there. And listen, guys, it's been great to chat to you both tonight. Drink your gins with you guys. Enjoy, learning lots about them, how to serve them up for Christmas. So hopefully lots of people will have great ideas to make the perfect classic G&T, but also some awesome new ideas and recipes for these gins. So we'll make sure we get these posted up on the site tomorrow. Maybe if we'll find in one of the groups, or make sure you're following the guys on their walls, and we'll make sure we get that information to you somehow. Otherwise, guys, thanks so much for all your support and your great work. And I hope you guys have a great Christmas, and may it be gin filled and laughter filled and all that. And hope to see you all soon. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.
Lunch, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Great festive.